Welcome to the Tom Gallicchio Tomcast. Today is a very exciting special episode. I got my biggest guest to date, and this episode is for the ladies. I'm proud to announce my guest today is supermodel, America's Top Model winner, an MMA corner person or corner woman, an MMA manager, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, a wife to UFC fighter Sam Alvey, and a mother of two, McKey Sullivan.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Awesome to have you here. Now, McKey goes by two names. Many of you know her by McKey. I personally know her as Britt Alvey. You'll always be Britt Alvey to me.
Yeah, it's my husband's fault. He spreads it everywhere.
he makes sure that you're Britt Alvey, so this way you got a stamp on you.
McKey who? No, this is Britt.
No, this is...
Alvey.
Sam's greatest accomplishment, as he likes to say. So, Britt, why don't you tell us a little bit about America's Next Top Model?
America's Next Top Model is what I guess started my career, and it was definitely an experience. I get asked about it still all the time, and much to my husband's chagrin, I get recognized more often than he does and asked about it. It was a great experience. It's really stressful. You live in a house with 14 other girls. As they get eliminated, they close off rooms of the house, so you got to live closer to each other. You got to see each other more, and it was crazy. I haven't really watched it much since I was on it, and my season was the first one I ever watched. I got on the show knowing nothing about it. I was like, oh shoot, maybe I should have watched one or two of these before I did this. But I've been watching the recent season because I just had a feeling it was going to be, a big one, and it ended up being the last one. So
how do you feel about it coming to an end?
I guess it feels like maybe it's time. Like everybody has said, a lot of the fans that I've kept in touch with said that it's been different for years. They got rid of Mr. J and our judge was Paulina and Nigel, which was a big change to the show, and I think it drove a lot of people away, and when it didn't, I guess, compensate for that in their eyes, it just started falling flat. So it just seems like maybe this is the end. It seems a lot more about drama now than, modeling, and it's different.
How many seasons has it been?
This is season 22.
22, just like my show, and makes you wonder if the Ultimate Fighter's starting to run the course a little bit.
The thing that's different, I think, about Top Model and Ultimate Fighter is the Ultimate Fighter is basically a scouting event for an agency, if you were to do it, detail it in modeling terms. They are directly recruiting talent for themselves. Versus America's Next Top Model, they sign on a third-party agency to take on the winner, who also gets a choice over whether they want to sign any of the other girls, but it's not really in their best interest to keep the show going. It's in the show, Tyra and Top Model, to keep it going. So if they had their own agency and they were casting people to keep their talent fresh, it would make sense to keep it going. That's why I think the Ultimate Fighter will be on for longer, because UFC is always going to need more guys, and guys with personality, and it builds them a following. Really, it only plays in the UFC's favor to keep it going, because what could be bad about people liking fighters before they're already in the UFC?
Now, do you think, now you know a little bit about the Tough House through Sam being in the Ultimate Fighter. Is it very similar to the Ultimate, to America's Next Top Model House? Do you guys get your cell phones and stuff and communication?
Yeah, it's very similar, but in comparing notes, Top Model was much more strict. There's certain things like none of us were allowed to have books and cell phones and all that stuff. The one thing that was more lenient for us was we were actually able to communicate with our families via letters and occasionally phone calls. Sam never got that privilege, but at least, they were able to, have the same schedule every day, and they were able to, come up with things to do, versus us, we were constantly kept to a different schedule, and when we did have downtime, it was either monitored or very limited.
Did you guys get a pool table or?
No, and they didn't even give us an area to work out. I mean, as both of these professions, it's very important to keep fit and active, and I was stuck doing crab walks around a pool because there was no space to work out anywhere else, and they gave us no exercise equipment.
And you know what? Nobody wants a fat model either.
No,
nobody wants a fat fighter either. So we're kind of two peas in a pod in a sense. You guys go through strict dieting, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of the times we're going through catering on our show, so it's like, what do you want? Here's these 5 options. None of them are healthy, and they're just like feeding us with nobody working out. As you can see the cycle go on, you just see women getting fatter and fatter as we're going through.
That's why the plus size modeling's come into full effect.
Oh yeah, let's bring that on.
It's because of America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, there's guys on there now too, you know.
There's guys on the show now.
If only there was a Cycle 23, you could be on it.
Yeah, I would love to be on it, but I don't think my ears would permit me to be a model.
There was actually a wrestler that made it pretty far this season.
Really?
I mean, I don't think he made the final cut, but he made it up to like semifinals.
Is that starting to become the look, the ears?
Why not? There's been a lot of stranger things.
There really has. Like, did you see the new haircut where guys like shaved their head and then they put like half the head comb over? You see them like, I think Nick's got it. It looks silly,
Yeah,
and so does
weird.
Ryan
It's
Goldsky.
so strange.
There's a lot of guys doing it. And
Yeah, if only they start putting like weaves in and jewels, like, we can get some funky stuff going on.
It's like the white girl with cornrows look. It's not a great look, I don't think.
Oh, but hey, that's popular in MMA now.
White girls with cornrows.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I don't know what else you could do with your hair besides cornrows.
I just chop it off. I don't know how women train with long hair. Every single time I roll with a woman, I find myself apologizing half the time because I know how bad it hurts to have your hair pulled and you're sitting there like accidentally grabbing it as you go behind the neck or putting your knee on it, and it's
That's
bad.
actually a problem I have, especially wearing the gi. When someone goes to grab a grip on my gi, they also grab a handful of hair sometimes. So like when they're working the grips, I just feel my hair getting pulled out of them.
It's not hard to do with you, Tom.
No, and it's a battle I can't even fight anymore. Being so hairy, it's like I just gave up. The hair won. Sasquatch pride.
I like it.
You know what? But there's a lot of people who approach me, older guys who approach me this season, and they're like, "Hey, I got a hairy chest too. Keep it going." Like hits close to home. That we kind of have to congregate together. What's left of us, the hairy guys.
Yeah, and you know what? It works for you. You called me yesterday when I was modeling at Sassoon and Santa Monica. Whole class heard our conversation, and so immediately after we got off the phone, they're like, "Who are you just talking to? What is this about? What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, that's one of my fighters." "You manage fighters?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, well, is he cute?" I was like, "Yeah, he's missing a tooth and he's totally hairy." And they're like, "What?"
What?
Like, let me show you a picture. Like, "Oh yeah, he's hot, even with the hair."
You know,
It works for him.
You know what? Here's my theory behind it. I think about 66%, 2/3 of women don't like hairy guys. I would say don't. But I think there's like a good 33% that do. And that's who I really appeal to. Because I could shave and be like every other guy, like 90% of the guys. But I'm a good 10%er.
I like it, you know. Instead of going out and finding the women that fit your description, wait for the ones to come to you.
Exactly.
And then take your pick.
Because it's
Higher
only gets
odds.
hairier by the years. So, Britt, what did winning the season do for you?
You know,
Did you get a Harley?
I did not get a Harley, but I also would have been able to ride my Harley had I won a Harley. There's no contract against that for me. But what I did get was I got a cover of 17 magazine.
Were you 17?
I was 20 at the time, and so that was a little interesting for me. But my sister used to read it, so that was fun. What else? I had a
Was your
contract with
sister
CoverGirl. 25
reading at 17? You
Yes.
at heart.
They're still hidden under her bed. She keeps them. I got a contract with CoverGirl, which was amazing. They were so much fun to work with. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah, free makeup, which I don't wear makeup most of the time, so I still have a lot of it, so that's good. And
That's retirement makeup.
well, it's so easy to wear too, you know, like a lot of their stuff. I'm still look at me, still spokesmodeling, even though I'm not a cover girl anymore. And then I had a contract with Elite in New York. And so it was both a good thing and a bad thing for me. It was great that I won. I got great publicity. As far as like celebrity-dom I made my D or F list celebrity thing just fine. It was great. But as far as actually working, it kind of hampered me a little bit. Every single time I would go on castings, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I love your look. And then one of the other people aside would whisper something to the other, the casting director there, and they'd be like, oh, you were on Top Model. So yeah, and then they'd ask me a bunch of questions about the show, and I would never hear back from them. And I couldn't understand how all these interviews were just going so great, and then I never got any callbacks from them. So it was something that it really helped me either working within the Top Model fan network where people just love the show and they want to work with the Top Model, or hiding it completely and trying to pretend like it never happened.
Oh, all right. So it brought you name recognition, you would say, but I understand the modeling game, even after you win that, is still a grind. It's still like work. You're still competing for those spots. Yeah,
well, it puts you in an odd position because as a model, people hire you to showcase their clothes. You are a hanger for their clothes. You are meant to make it look good. If they wanted you to bring your own brand with it, they would hire somebody that everybody knows. They don't want a name with their model. They want their models to be anonymous, and they want their celebrities to be big. So putting you somewhere in the middle where people know who you are gets rid of your anonymity, and then you're not being a star celebrity doesn't bring enough people to the table for a lot of brands. So it just puts you in a strange category that doesn't really fit anywhere.
So it kind of puts you in that middle category that doesn't really have a home, which would probably be more for a startup brand.
Yeah, and like I said, I worked with a ton of brands that loved it, that were all about it, and they thought it was great. They still loved my look. They loved that, a couple more people would look at their stuff just because of it, and were able to work with it. But there was that other side. But like I said, I'm happy I did it. There's no part of me that regrets it. It just was an interesting after-show experience, and it was fun living in New York where I got recognized everywhere I went, and then moving to Paris where nobody recognized me anywhere I went. And it was such a big change.
A little humbling, right?
Yeah, I actually loved it. I was like, yes, because I only get recognized when I'm on a no makeup, sweatpants, have poison ivy kind of day. Like literally, the most I ever got recognized was coming home from the hospital with terrible poison ivy. Like I've only had sponge baths for the last 4 days, and I'm just limping my way home, all swollen. And everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you were on Top Model!" I was like, "How bad did I look on television that this is when I get recognized?"
They're like, you really fell a long way from the show.
Like, I just need to stop at the store to pick up my medications.
So are you still modeling? Are you still doing it? Or
I still do a little bit. I modeled through both of my pregnancies, and I did, some hair modeling yesterday. I stick with the brands that I've been working with a long time if they ever want to do anything. As far as seriously getting back into it, I don't know if I really want to lose another 20 pounds to get down where I need to be.
You don't want to make weight.
I don't want to make weight, exactly. Or if I want to gain weight and go up a weight class and be a, plus size model. But then I'm going to have to grow out my hair, and it'll have to be a natural color. I don't know if I like all these rules anymore.
You're getting too old for it, right? You're too old for the rules.
Hey.
No, not model-wise. You look great. By the way, I got dressed up today because this is a very special episode having Britt on. I couldn't just let her be the only one looking good. So hopefully I went up to par standards.
You look amazing, Tom.
Well, thank you. Now the plus size modeling's coming in pretty big now, right? Isn't that you see more of that? They were in the Super Bowl last year. Yeah,
I've actually met plus size models on castings, and I've seen them at my agencies. And that was something that when I first started, I modeled a little bit before Top Model, and it was just way too stressful for me. Just all the pictures of yourself, like in your swimsuit, and my agent would take me out to lunch, and she would show me the pictures of myself, and she would circle all the areas of my body that I needed to work on, and be like, "Look, this is what you look like from behind. Can you believe this?" And I was 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
And she'd be looking at my food diary, and she'd be like, "Why are you eating Cheerios? You don't need to eat Cheerios." I was like, I was running late to high school, and it was the easiest thing I could grab, and it was just too depressing for me. I saw her years later, and I was physically shaking. That's how bad it affected me.
Oh, wow.
But when I first started modeling, I was a small girl, just not by modeling standards. I weighed, I was 6 foot tall and weighed maybe 125 pounds. And
that's tiny. That's skinny.
Yeah, I was a size 4, but I wasn't a size 0. So I got sent on all the plus size castings, and that was another thing that didn't aid my self-esteem a lot. Being sent to plus size castings as 15 years old and 125 pounds, the skinniest. All my friends would call me so skinny, and then I'd go and to these castings, and I'd try and fill out these clothes, and
they're like, you've been eating too much Cheerios.
Pretend I had some boobs, and yeah, plus size modeling has changed. It's not those days anymore.
Now, is plus size could be like big and tall? Like, it doesn't mean fat. It means.
Plus size is generally regarded as anything size, over size 12. Sometimes they go into, the smaller sizes, but it just has to do with a different body shape, I think, for the most part.
More like busty and
curvy, and girls that have hips, girls that have thighs, there's
that's coming back in big ways.
Especially with these stretchy pants. Do you know how hard it is when you have thighs and stretchy pants and then small calves? Like, there's nothing to hold them up. They just kind of want to go down.
Are you talking the yoga pants?
No, like jeggings.
Okay.
Leggings, and all the jeans have stretch in them now, and it just makes it hard for them to stay up. Like, we got to go back to. I know it's come back a little bit, but high-waisted. At least then you give it something to latch onto.
High-waisted has come back. You're seeing a lot more of that now.
I think it's because people got tired of their pants falling down.
People got tired of being ridiculous. Now, I got a question. Who do you think? Now, you said that it's like you got to cut weight for modeling. Who has a harder cut, you or Sam?
Ooh, definitely Sam. Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, I guess for me, whenever I had to lose a lot of weight, I didn't have to care where it was coming from. It could be muscle, it could be brain cells, it could be anything. As long as I fit the measurements, that was what was important. Versus Sam, he's got to hit a mark exactly. The way that I do think it's harder, though, is that losing inches, you can't control where it's coming off of.
No, you can't.
I remember, my hardest time trying to get into measurements, I had, 35.5-inch hips, and I had a 22-inch waist, which that's tiny. Modeling standard size for a waist is 25 inches.
Okay.
So I was 3 inches under where I needed to be, but still I was half an inch too big in my hips. So there's nothing you can do about that. I was trying so hard. So I mean, he's got a more set area he has to hit, and that both hurts and helps him. But I think it's way harder on him. I've never looked like him when I was having to go to work.
But he also goes nuts after he makes weight.
I never ate like him either.
Yeah, you've never done both sides of the spectrum like you're. Interesting you said, because when I make 55, I lose my butt. And
it's just gone.
It's gone, and it's depressing. There's actually a picture of me online of them Lance Palmer tying my Muay Thai cup. And I'm naked. Sam usually does it for me. And they took a picture and they posted it on Instagram when I had my fight on the show. And I was just I can't believe I'm naked on the internet. And my butt looks flat. That was so depressing to me. I'm at least I should have got it when I was bootylicious.
You're the anti-Kardashian.
It was just flat, hairy, and depressing for me.
Well, I mean, in modeling, you're not supposed to have a butt, so maybe that's the route you should have gone down.
I should have. That sounds hard, too, modeling. I mean, punching's tough, but modeling seems tough, too. And you're always getting told. I don't really like being told what to do. But then again, when I'm training, I do. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more... You guys find a good coach and you follow their advice.
To a T, yeah.
Yeah, for us, it's we've got a million things that are being said to us, and you kind of have to pick and choose what's being told to you and hope you pick the right stuff, because some people, there's things you can't change about yourself. You're too tall, your feet are too big. It's it's not like, oh, you touch your cheek after you jab. It's not like something that you could change. It's something that's built in. But there are things that they tell you that you just don't know whether you should listen to or not. Like, cut your hair, grow out your hair, dye it this color. And that's a big investment. As a model, you have to keep your hair the same for years. And you invest money to get your pictures to look like that, so your portfolio looks like that, your comp cards look like that. Wow. And then what if it doesn't work out for you? What if it's the wrong choice? Then you just wasted 2 years of your life as a brunette when you should have been a blonde.
And I guess it's with different times too. It comes like different times. Things are cool. Seems like short hair is a thing now.
Yeah.
I like it. First of all, I like short hair.
Oh, you're not part of the whole, what is it, that story going around on Facebook that short-haired girls are damaged. They all have daddy issues.
No.
Not a single one of them is.
I actually like it when girls have their hair like up to here.
Aw, chin length.
Yeah, I
That's
like
sweet.
That's the look I like, where it's like not too short, but they do the short hair, and it takes a certain girl to pull off short hair too.
Yeah, I would just shave it off if I could.
It is so convenient shaving your head. It's just not
wonderful.
combing.
I know. I don't get what guys are all about with the long hair. It's annoying. Like, it gets everywhere. It touches everything. It gets dirty.
Oh, yeah.
All guys are like, oh yeah, it's hot and sexy. I was like, yeah, until you like see all the things that it touches, like wrapped around the subway pole.
And guys are dirty in general, so like the last thing we need is more things to take care of.
Honey, you need to go wash your hair. It's nasty.
Yeah, it stinks. Get some salsa glue in it. So I want to talk about the epidemic we have in the world today. And this epidemic is we have a lot of fake models, but it's not just their fault. We got a lot of fake photographers. Any man with a wide angle lens thinks he's a photographer, and he takes pictures of what I like to call Insta models. We'll keep it on a nice term right now.
It's true. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on up there. You got Craigslist models, you got model mayhem models, you got
suicide girls.
Oh yeah, you got.
But that's like 10 years old though.
I know, we're getting old. We know all these things. I can't keep up with the times anymore.
It's
sad.
Either.
And as my friends that are actual models, I actually, my best friend Sheena, I'll never forget this once. 2 years ago, we were walking in New York, and this photographer who prides himself on going around and taking pictures of street fashion started taking pictures of her without her permission, and she just was so livid because we, as a professional model, people ask to take your picture. They pay to take your picture. There's like set guidelines. You're going to look good. This guy's going out there just taking pictures of pretty girls and putting them on the internet. Like, look at what I did. Look at how talented I am. And he was all irate at her for being mad. Like, oh, I am so-and-so. I am a great photographer. I have this many followers on Twitter and Instagram. And here's my card. And she's like, no, if you were a professional photographer, you would go to my agency and request to work with me.
Exactly. You can't give away what people will pay for.
Exactly.
That's an insult to your craft, and all you fake photographers out there, unless you're trying to aspire and do it the right way. If you're just out there trying to get laid and take pictures, you are not helping the industry, and you are, I would say, the biggest form of scum on the earth right now, to my knowledge, in this interview.
I agree.
I mean, terrorism's bad too, but
those terrible photos on Instagram, those bootylicious photos on Instagram.
As much as I do enjoy looking at a good Insta model through passing, I don't condone it, or that's not somebody I want to date either. That's like almost somebody it seems like an ego thing.
Yeah, you're not a Tinder guy.
I'm not a Tinder guy. I'm not Tinderella. Yeah, but like, you got to be certain specs to be a model, certain height, you got to fit these high fashion clothes. And a lot of the stuff you walk on a runway with, there's only one of them, right? It's
a sample, so you don't get to keep it, and you've got to fit it just as well as the girl Milan did, so.
And only one of them is sold?
Well, I think most of the time they're like things that some of them they're not planning on marketing, like mass producing, but other ones they are. So it's just like the first of something, I guess. It's kind of the mock-up, I guess.
Oh, all right. It's the prototype.
Yes, there we go. That's a better word.
I got a prototype I'm working on, but I don't have any copyright, so I can't talk about it on camera yet. But something big's eventually coming if I can figure out how to get patents. So let's talk about Sam. You're being the wife of a fighter. I think we covered modeling pretty good. Let's talk about how you guys met. That's a great story.
Sam and I met at a Renaissance fair.
And was this pre-modeling?
This was pre-modeling. Well, post my traumatic modeling experience. But like I said, it didn't really go well. I didn't do much, and but I was still a model. Everybody was all like, oh, she's a model. So of course Sam got introduced to me as a model, but
of course he did.
Of course he did. But it was pre-fighting, definitely pre-fighting. And my boss randomly is like, hey, you're gonna go on a break this morning. I go for a walk with Patrick, who was her friend, who also lived with her. It just so happened Patrick was a coworker of Sam. And these two, this Patrick and my boss, co-conspired to set me up on a blind date with this pasty ginger.
With Sam?
Who sold steak on a steak.
Steak on a steak. What is steak on a steak?
Steak on a steak is literally steak on a steak.
It's meat on a stick.
Meat on a stick. There's pork on a poke. There's
pork on a poke. Is there
chocolate covered cheesecake on a stick? Fried macaroni and cheese on a stick. Everything's
Is there chicken on a stickin'?
I should pitch that to them. That would go well.
Our next Renaissance fair.
Yes, let's do it.
We're gonna get chicken on a stickin'.
Turkey legs, I mean.
So it was a blind date setup.
Yes, and after I met him, he sent me a flower under the wrong name, with Becky, and then proceeded to ask me out to the local truck stop, where we went on our first date, where he displayed his massive use and arsenal of grappling hooks, bow staffs, nunchucks, size.
Was it impressive? Were you impressed by it?
Oh, of course. Here's this 19-year-old guy in a leather jacket.
How old were you?
I was 16. I was turning 17 in a month. So I said I was 17. He still holds it against me. And
so you're like, whoa, he's so badass. Look at all these weapons that he can't carry with him.
He carries around in his truck with him everywhere. Yeah, and it was just love from there. What can I say? There's no going up from there. That's just amazing. We just start on a plateau and stay there.
And you, from what I understand, you were Sam's first and only girlfriend. Since then, it's only been Jordan.
It's true. Only roommates since then, and he's picked up his fair share of man crushes over the years, both that he has on guys, not in a weird way, but just...
A non-sexual man crush.
Yes, he's got his man crushes, but then he also has guys that get man crushes on him.
Yes.
And that's always funny for me to watch as he's getting midnight texts from his man friends, just like, oh, Sam, you're so awesome. Thank you so much for showing me how to do that double jab today. And my timing just feels great. I just know this is it for me. I'm like, oh, gosh.
It's funny, but it is a true thing. And, yeah, man crushes do exist.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah, Sam's awesome, and unfortunately, no man crush for me. He's just like...
He's definitely heterosexual, too. His man crushes are strictly
platonic.
Platonic, yes, and he'll tell you all about them if you ever ask him.
I should have asked him his man. Next time I get him on, we're going to ask him.
I think Brad Pitt is his ultimate.
Brad Pitt's his man crush.
I don't find him attractive. And Sam's like, he stops a bullet with his pack. He's so manly.
What about The Rock? I think he's...
Oh, he loves The Rock, too.
Loves The Rock.
Loves The Rock. And Luke Rockhold, of course, you know.
Luke Rockhold's so damn dreamy.
Every time he's at the gym stretching, Sam's just like, dang, he's flexible too.
He's funny and he's perfect. And
he's got all these good looks and good standing and great technique, and he just has to be flexible too.
Let's just say if I wasn't single, I would never bring my girlfriend around Luke Rockhold. Not saying he would do anything, but I just feel like any girl I bring around will fall instantly in love with Luke because he is a studly, talented fighter.
So funny.
I've heard guys call Luke Rockhold dreamy plenty of times.
It's true. Every guy I see that ever sees him is like.
I've heard it more from guys than women.
I know. And Sam has gone into the gym with a couple of my single friends, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Luke is here today. You guys, Luke is here today," and they're like. Okay.
Just another guy.
Okay. Yeah, he's good looking. Yeah, he's got great form. Sorry, Luke, you are definitely handsome. You peel very highly to the men and highly to the women.
Yeah, that's funny. Now, also, I wanted to cover is I think you're a wonderful role model for girls today. I don't feel like celebrities are good anymore. It's like become a hookup culture, and chivalry is dying. And how do you feel about that these days? I say you're a positive role model because you're a great mother. You're loyal to your husband. You're a strong woman. You go to school still?
Yeah.
Still going to school. You spent your next top model money on schooling, right?
I did, yes. Schooling is a big thing. I don't know. There's something about our generation that we want everything immediately. And that even falls true for me a lot of the time. But we're just not as good at sitting down and really working towards a goal, and it's not really emphasized as much, I think, as it should be. College is, one thing. A lot of people do finish college and go on to have successful careers, but it's not like the pinnacle of being a woman is being educated. It's, being good looking. It's finding, a hot guy to be with for the night,
almost
the week,
take
the
care
month.
of you too.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that, but I just try and do my thing and, not get too wrapped up in anything. And we're definitely not a Hollywood couple, Sam and I. And,
No, you're a Renaissance fair couple.
Oh, yes.
You catch you at the pleasure fair.
Yeah, and life goes by so quickly. It really does. So it's just fun to just enjoy it and enjoy every part of it.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it's you were saying we kind of get disconnected in instant gratification. I feel like a lot of that comes from cell phones these days, the internet, social media. That's instant stimulation right there.
Amazon Prime, whatever you order is in your doorstep 2 days later.
2 days later, free shipping.
It's so great.
It is so, but it's spoiled us, and I feel like it's also spoiled communication. Now, if you're in a doctor's office, instead of everybody sitting around, maybe you talk to the person next to you, everybody's in their phone.
Yeah.
Everybody's just trying to get stimulation. Nobody could just sit there and just exist. Got nothing.
And like addictive problems are something you hear about all the time. Like nowadays, people addicted to sex, people addicted to drugs, people addicted to alcohol, to their cell phones, whatever it is. And the neurochemistry is different between instant gratification, close gratification versus long-term gratification. And I think people just get hooked on the just got it now, got it done now.
Get hooked on likes too. People get hooked on likes.
Attention.
Attention. Everything could be addictive, from coffee to drugs. Everything is addictive.
Getting
the internet,
recognized.
yeah. Getting your picture taken and putting your fake modeling photos online could be addictive. And that's another good thing that I'm glad you mentioned. I've never seen you even pick up a drop of alcohol or anything, what makes you a good role model. There's no drugs, no alcohol, and that's something that you don't really see nowadays in our world. And my hat's off to you. I think more young women should be looking up to you. And you're a positive, strong woman, and you don't need no man, but you got a great one.
I do. I like him quite a lot.
So being a corner person now, I wanted to get my role model rant out of the way because it's something I feel very strongly upon. But being a corner person, have you cornered Sam every fight?
I have, with the exception of once in his amateur career where he fought in Russia. Other than that, I've been at every single fight. I've done all the pancration, all the kickboxing. I have been there. I even spent a fortune to fly across the world to be there for a fight that got rained out and declared a no contest after the first round. So it was literally 56 hours of traveling for 12 hours of disappointment.
Now, I got a good question for you. Now, a lot of people, a lot of women, or even mothers, say they have a hard time seeing their son or significant other getting hit. How does it feel seeing Sam take a big shot? Does it get to your heart or not really? Most
of the time it does not affect me. I will say this last fight there was one of the first shots. I caught him right under the jaw and his head went back and I was like, ugh. You can hear me make a sound, but it wasn't really like, oh dang, that looked like it hurt. It was like, oh, don't do that again. Dude, that's not good for you.
Sam.
What are you doing, dude? throw a counter punch of some sort, because that was
So
hard to watch. But
to see Sam take a beating doesn't really bother you?
no, and there was only once I can ever remember that he was like really just in a bad spot, and I was just like, I don't really like this. And that was Carl Amasu, first round. I think it was like 4 minutes in, and he's down on the ground, just covered in blood. And that one didn't even bug me that much. It was the fact that he literally had like a faucet of blood running off the back of his head, and you could just watch this pool spread on the canvas. I was like, it's a lot of blood, dude.
Yeah.
But we made it to a second round where it didn't even matter anymore. All right, clean him up. Let's clean the blood off of him. Get out there. And he won the fight. And it was great. That man can take a beating, let me tell you.
Yes, he can.
After his last fight, his mom was just irate, and she's like, you can beat that kid with a 2x4 over the head for at least 4 minutes and he'll be fine. I was like, what?
Yeah, just don't stop the fight. Let the beating continue. The guy will tire out. I thought it got stopped early, too. I was watching it from inside the house, and that was the house consensus. We were all kind of rooting for him. I tried to tell one of the producers to send Sam a text that the Tough 22 house is cheering for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough moment for us. I don't understand the timing of the stoppage or the stoppage at all. I've tried, but if when he fell, that was when it was stopped, I could understand it a lot better, but it wasn't. And he was started to cover, and his ankle moved as he started to go to the cage to go stand up like he's trained to do. And he started doing what he is trained to do, and the fight was stopped for him doing that. So it was a little disappointing, and I just remember seeing him stand up like all just like shaking, like I'm like, oh my gosh, he was so mad. I've never seen Sam so mad. He was wobbly with rage.
Oh, I don't blame him. I was so mad too, because I remember when we fought for the MFC titles, he defended his and I refought for mine. He got dropped worse in that fight then.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Sam's somebody that he'll definitely admit it when he's been hurt in a fight, when he's been dazed, what he was feeling at that time. He's not somebody that feels like he has to cover it up. And there's nothing against Derek. He went out and did his thing, but
a lot more than we expected to. Came out a lot stronger than we expected.
But Sam being under a barrage of punches, and it was so quick that he couldn't mount a defense. He was never really given the chance to do so, and I think that was unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen it gone on and to whatever end, so that Sam
give him a few more good
had a
punches.
Chance that he could have stood up and tried to do what he can do.
It almost looked like I guess the ref just saw like a little bit of chaos, and that's how they kind of stopped it. But it should have.
Fast. It was
just so fast, and he was barraging them, but a lot of them weren't clear shots. He did get him with one to drop him originally, but
yeah, and when he was on the ground, like none of those punches were landing.
He was working his way up.
Yeah,
it was a bad stoppage, I think, in general.
Not to dwell on the negative. Let's move on. I don't want to think about it anymore. Yes. We can't wait till we get the negative. Next fight out there.
How is it now? You're an MMA manager. You manage me. That's how manage me. You manage Sam. Who else do you manage?
I manage a couple of the other guys at the gym. I try to stick with the pro team, and really what I do at the gym is I work with whatever pro fighters don't have management already and would like some help, because I do have some connections. I do know how it's done. I love to negotiate. I think it's very exciting. I'm a huge fight fan. I am like the biggest fan of everybody at our gym, and I never get starstruck when dealing with models or celebrities. It's just never happened for me. But when I deal with fighters that I think are amazing, like you should see me. I'm pink. I can't speak. I'm shaky. I wrapped Dan Henderson's hands once, and I
remember that.
I could not get over it. I think I was like 1,000 degrees the entire time I was doing it. But it's something that I want to help out with, and hopefully I can keep doing it and keep building my roster and expand beyond our gym. But there's a couple of guys I work with around the world that I look out for fights for them, but for the most part it's just our gym. So you'll see him coming out in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Especially my Jordan. Jordan wouldn't mind me talking about him. So
Jordan
Winsky, up and coming 135er. People keep dodging him. He's had 2 opponents back out the day of weigh-ins. Made weight both times. Very, very frustrating for him and everybody else around him because he was not a happy camper. But he's definitely somebody that's going to make it up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jordan is very, very talented. Not so much a big talker, but he's a talented young man, and I guess moving out here was one of the better moves for him in his life and career, and getting out of Wisconsin, I guess.
Yeah.
He seems to fit in well at the gym, and it looks like his career's been taking off. I know all the 135ers are very happy with Jordan, and I think he's puts on a few 2 or 3 more wins, you'll see him in the big show.
Oh yeah, I'll get him there.
You'll get him there. How is it dealing with Joe Silva?
Joe's really nice. He's a great guy. He's easy to work with. Obviously he's very, very private.
Very.
But every time I've ever talked to him, he's been completely cordial, very professional. And the part that always kind of shocks me is if we go somewhere and he's there, it doesn't matter if we're part of the show, like we can go to just watch. He'll come over and he'll say hi if he knows that we're there. And that's very impressive, as a boss to
Oh, absolutely. And he's a hard man to even talk to. So for him to say hi to you must be doing something right.
Yeah, Joe Silva's one of those guys that, I get the butterflies in my stomach. He is the man in MMA. That is the guy. Him
Not
and
Dana
Sean
White.
Shelby. Him and those two.
Sean Shelby, if you're 45 and under, or a woman. 55 and up, it's Joe Silva.
And those guys are the most powerful men in this business. They are you guys' boss, and it's amazing. I can't imagine having that job.
Oh yeah, that's probably a dream job though.
Oh yeah.
I bet that'd be a dream job. That's probably the coolest job in MMA is making the exciting fights for the UFC, I would think.
Yeah, as much as I like managing, I would love to be a matchmaker. I don't know if I could never be as good as they are, but I can sure try.
You know what? There's some good matchups where you're like, why didn't they make this? Like I thought Roy Nelson and Josh Barnett should have been fighting a while ago. I was like, that's a perfect fight to have. Or there's just so many fights where I've thought like, oh, we need to see this, or and they've come up. Joe's has come up. Joe's been doing a good job as of lately, I should say. Yeah,
definitely. Well, we want to see Sam in there against some names. We're always making our own dream matchups, I guess. We want to see good fights. We want to see exciting things happen. We don't want either of your careers to be boring or to be one-sided. We want you guys to go out there, put on wars, and
standing still.
Make fans.
Make fans. Well, Sam does a good job of making fans. He has quite the following in Canada and Brazil. They were cheering him on, so I'm sure Joe Silva and Dana White were happy with that.
Yeah, and this sport is growing, and it's growing so fast, and that's one of the most important things is the people that you have in it, because the more people that you can turn on to the sport, the more people that are going to watch it, the bigger it's going to become, the better it's going to be for all of us.
And there's a lack of superstars these days. I'm seeing, like, now that your George St. Pierre's are retiring, your Matt Hugheses are gone, your BJ Penns are, Matt Serra's not in it. Like, the names that you grew and loved, your Chuck Liddells, your Rich Franklins are not there. And there doesn't seem to be the people who get that much star power, except like a Conor McGregor or like Matt Brown's doing really well and getting fans, and Robbie Lawler, but he's an old schooler, so people liked him from back in the day. But
yeah, there's a couple of people, Donald Cerrone fights so much that you can't help but know who he is
and like his attitude.
Yeah, but there's a lot of buzz about CM Punk lately.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever gonna fight. I
know, I've been waiting for forever. You keep seeing all this stuff pop up. Oh, CM Punk, who's he going to fight?
They got to get him UFC ready first.
Get training, man.
like they're trying to rush that new kid, Sage, in, because he was on Dana White's show.
Yeah.
And he's 6-0 and seems to have the perfect life and be handsome and perfect.
And what a unique name.
Yeah, Sage. And now he's headlining a card after one fight. Which, personally, I think would be a great fight for me.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's the pretty boy versus the everyman. So I represent everybody who had a tough time in life and had to struggle and work hard for everything. And he's the pretty boy who's had everything in his life. So it's the perfect matchup, the perfect story. An old veteran versus the youngin, and that's a fight I'd like to happen in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to see a bunch of them happen, so
yeah,
get you in there.
I know. I'd love to get back in the mix, but who knows? I might be coming back in the show.
In the house, taking care of business.
I'm still in the house, so who knows what's going to happen next.
It's amazing you're here too.
You know, I got to catch the flight back to Vegas. But I get to watch the commercials. But then I got to go right back to Vegas after.
That's good, yeah. Just in between,
In between, I could pop into the viewing party, and then I got to shoot back. I'm like, I got to get back to Vegas.
You're amazing. You're just like Superman.
I'm trying. And luckily the UFC has given me a platform to be amazing. Besides, before we get wrapped up on this, I know you got a few hobbies I'd like to talk about. Let's go into the first one, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Love it. I've been out of it for a couple weeks because I had a knee injury, probably need surgery, but as anybody that is in combat sports knows, I don't know, things get better even though you still need surgery on it and you keep going. So it's getting to the point that I think I can start doing stuff again, but I've been doing jiu-jitsu for probably about 2.5 years, taking some breaks, had some babies in there, but it's fun. It's like the best workout I've ever had. I don't know how you brown black belts never break a sweat, but for me, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, I'm dying. The next round comes, you're just like,
you just learn to be efficient. That's what it is. Like, you just learn how to do stuff without doing a lot. That's the trick.
Yeah, I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of getting my blue belt, and I do not want to move up yet.
I don't blame you.
I did one tournament as a blue belt, and I took home the golden gi, but I was like, this is tough. I don't think I want to move up yet. I think I'm good here. This is good competition level. But someday I do hope to move up the belt scale and aspire to be like you, Mr. Choke expert.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be like Poncho, so it's we're all chasing the rabbit a little bit. So, once you get to black belt, you're just still not there because you still got to become a good black belt. And that's another battle in itself. And with all these guys who've been black belts forever, it's hard. It's really, really tough. But that's something you got to stick with. And I feel like when you're in MMA, it makes it a little hard to be like a gi specialist, or because you got to work everything, and that's why you don't see a lot of good MMA guys with great boxing or anything, because you got to work on everything. That's what makes it a challenge, I think.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I do no gi, I'm like grabbing people like crazy. I'm like, sorry, there was nothing there to grab. I just grabbed your skin.
I always got hair to grab, so I'm sure you've ripped some out when we rolled.
If ever I did an MMA match, that would be bad. I'd be like grabbing onto everything.
Just grabbing the handles, grabbing skin flaps.
It's loud, right?
Yeah, you just gotta make it look like you're trying to do something. Don't
use my nails. Make sure, don't stick it in any orifices.
Yeah, and you could grab the neck. You just can't squeeze.
That's good. I like grabbing the neck. That's my favorite
just posture.
My favorite handle right there.
Do you want to fight MMA or no?
I don't know. That's something I don't know. It's kind of on the back burner. When I was younger, it was something I couldn't do because bruises are not considered acceptable to my modeling agency, and I spent hours every time I had to go in just covering them all up from jiu-jitsu. But and then I had my kids. We still probably want more kids. So I don't know. For a girl, I think it's tricky because as with anything that women have to do, all of our family and childbearing years are right in the productive time for everything else. So right now I've got a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. I feel bad putting them in the gym daycare more than twice a day. Sometimes they go with Sam. So I don't know where I have the time, but I would love to. I think it'd be exciting. It's such a rush getting to watch you guys go through it and see everything that happens. It would be no surprise to me. I know everything that happens.
I'll tell you what, those butterflies they'll never settle. You never get used to them.
I'll bet. But I've been an athlete my whole life. I know about competition. I know about stress. I've been in competition many times, both in sports and out of it. And so that's something that I think I would enjoy, because it's better when it's for you than when it's for somebody else. You know, those minutes leading up to walking out the cage for, you know, Sam's fight, or watching you, like the days leading up to when you fight. I am shaky. I know you are where you're supposed to be, but it's up to you to do everything right. I have no control over that, but yet it affects me so much.
I think the stress definitely takes some years off of our life. I'm like other things don't bother me anymore. I'll tell you what, because of this show, I don't get embarrassed anymore. Somebody's like, I'll embarrass you. I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't. You haven't been flat-assed all over the internet. Like, there's nothing you can do. And the season gets crazier, so if I'm not embarrassed by the end of this, I'll never be embarrassed again, unless my mom comes to town or something. Mothers can always still embarrass you.
Aw, but your mom's so sweet.
She could still embarrass the hell out of me.
She has that power.
She has the only one who could do it. Still has that power.
It is true. You know, I visited my parents a while back. My mom walked in on me showering, and it still was like, ah!
No.
Half the world has seen me naked, but not my mother.
They just know how to do it too, and they don't even try. They just know how to do it. Now, do you like women's MMA?
I do. It's definitely a growing sport, and it's nice because you're watching it kind of from the beginning, working its way up. I know it's been around for forever, but just as long as the men's has. But it's really starting to progress into something that more women go into, and I think that as more women athletes turn to it as an alternative sport, as more women get into jiu-jitsu, as more women get into Muay Thai, you'll start seeing the talent pool really skyrocketing. Right now I do find it, you know, sometimes a bit green. It's strange watching the UFC and you see a girl come out with, you know, a 2-1 record, or, you know, 3-2. It's crazy. You're like, wow, you know, at 3-2 we were still fighting on tiny itty bitty little shows in a barn in the middle of Wisconsin, getting paid $200.
Yeah.
So it's definitely just different watching the UFC and seeing girls come in with so much less on their resume than the guys have, and filling the same spots. That part definitely is trippy for me, but I love watching it grow.
And being light helps too. If you are a lighter person, because there's less of you, you could get in with a lower record. Or if you're a woman, because there's even less of you, you could get in with a lower record. Being pretty helps too if you're a woman.
Yeah, that's something we've always joked about, is if I was to fight, 135 would probably not be my weight class, because I walk around at like, you know, 140, 145. So when I was modeling, I weighed 119, 120. So I would probably be in the 115 weight class. Which I would be 6 feet tall. I don't know, super skinny, unless I like bulked up, but I don't know, it doesn't seem to be my thing. I just gain my mommy weight, I guess.
You just gain mommy weight.
But it's possible, but it's something funny to talk about. But I love watching, you know, the girls fight. I watched the Ultimate Fighters, both of them, when the girls were on, and I think it's fun.
One of the producers told me about the girls' season, like that he had a jealous girlfriend back at home. I'm gonna make him rename nameless, but he was telling me like his girl at home would always like grill him, like, you're probably hooking up with the girls, this, that, and the other. And he's like, you don't understand how much Metamucil and laxative these girls were taking. He says, I've heard all these girls that rip farts and have disgusting poops. He's like, I am not attracted to any of them whatsoever. In fact, the season's probably made me less attracted to them.
Oh, it's so true, though. You guys are not meant to know what goes on behind the scenes.
No, we are not.
I will say my husband has never heard me fart. Women do not fart, and when they do, it smells like butterflies.
It's called powder puffing.
Yeah. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. As far as my husband's concerned, it does not happen. But that man, I know far more about bodily functions than I have ever wanted to know about a person. It's unreal, and you don't even try to. You just, from living with a guy, you just know.
Well, you got living, And he is your husband, so you got that. But also, you are his corner, so you are going to be up to date on his bowel movements.
Yeah, which days he's going to take laxatives, what his food is doing to his body. I get to hear it all. It's fun, especially the day of weight cut. That's he smelled like ketosis sets in like 3 days before weigh-ins or something, and that's when your body's in a different. It's like in survival mode, and so you produce these things called ketones, which smell absolutely terrible. That's why if you're hungry, your breath smells bad. Okay. And just the stink of having to sit next to him on a 17.5-hour flight. It's unreal, and nobody understands these things. It's things I have to go through, and then everybody like comes up and he's all happy and like, oh hey, I'm like, no Sam, go take an Altoid.
Yeah. Just crush up Altoids and just swish them around for a little bit,
and then spit them out because you can't have all that sugar.
No, that'll
those 5 calories. It's not happening.
And those are pure sugar too. Those Altoids.
They are.
The servings are 2 grams, and it says there's 2 grams of sugar on the back. So I
didn't know this.
They've
always been too caloric for me. For myself,
for a model, a fighter,
Altoids 1.5 calorie breath mint, the Tic Tac.
So yeah, but they're not as big, so they're not as filling. We know how you models only eat 1 rice cake.
No, it's like individual rice. Rice
all right.
Because then it feels like you're eating more.
And it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, and then when you like actually get something in your stomach and you feel it, you don't have to keep eating.
I'm sure you're gonna watch your water too.
Watch
water intake.
Oh, it depends on what's going on, but yeah, when you have a big show coming up, you definitely want to look dehydrated.
You are weighing Brit. You are weighing Sam, weighing Brit. It's the same thing if you're a fighter or a model. When you're on the runway, it's like you're at a weigh-in of a fight.
Yeah, hopefully a little less wobbly and.
Yes. Do you pound the Gatorade after you're done with the set?
Well, we normally have multiple things we have to do, but after Fashion Week is over, oh yeah.
That's when you girls pig out.
Yeah, definitely. And then, if you take laxatives before you eat, like supposedly it helps everything move through faster and you don't absorb as much. So then you don't even have to worry about the weight gain.
Yeah, you poor girls. Us poor guys, you poor girls. Now, with tennis, I understand you're an avid tennis player.
I am. Tennis is something that I should just be amazing at. I've been playing since I could walk. As soon as I could hold a racket, my parents are teaching me how to play. And my dad is a phenomenal tennis player, like pro level almost. He's just that good. And so I've had, camps, lessons my whole life. And it's something that I'm okay at. I'm not great. I'm not as good as I should be. It's a major disappointment in my life that wow, I've done something my whole life and I'm still only as good as people that have been playing a few years. But I play like USTA 4.0, so it's a decent rating. I play with wonderful women. It's so much fun. It's good exercise. I love mixed doubles. It's something I will play my entire life. And my parents always, growing up, they're like, why do you want to play soccer? Or why do you want to, play basketball? All these sports aren't things you can do your whole life. And I still, disagree with them a bit there. There's adult leagues. But the one thing that they instilled in me is that tennis is something that will help me my entire life. And it does. Everywhere I go, I play tennis and I meet people.
No kidding. Yeah. It's like golf almost, kind of in the same thing.
Yeah.
Golf you could do your whole life.
I play golf too. And
That's right, you do.
I've played my whole life and I am less good at golf than I am at tennis, but I will tell you, I hit one heck of a drive. I drive further than most men, but it's that as soon as you get close, forget about it. Forget about it. Miniature golfing is like the worst thing you can ever do to me.
That's what separates the men from the boys, the pros from the amateurs, or the women from the girls is on the putting green.
Yeah.
How far could you drive a ball? Like what's
I definitely drive over 400.
Over 400 yards?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I don't think I've ever hit that 450 bar, but my family is notorious for being good drivers. I think it's just because we're all so tall. Like we get that nice arc going.
And I've never seen you get into an accident, so you're a pretty good driver.
Oh, well, thank you. That's something Sam and I have a good laugh about often enough, and Jordan. Jordan lives with us. He's our lovely Wisconsin transplant.
Yes.
But
child brother.
Men and women, this probably plays into MMA too. We have different spatial awareness. Like, we view the world differently in a mental capacity. So that's why, you know, when women give directions, we are always talking about, you know, key points. We're like, okay, well, when you get to the big windmill, take a right. When you get to the gas station, take a left. And it drives guys nuts. Like, what kind of directions are this? This is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, which gas station? Versus guys, they're very much so to the point, you know, okay, you turn right, you know,
on this street,
300 feet, you have this street, you turn left. Like, it's very much so more regimented. And women, our spatial awareness actually gets like worse, like depending on what time of the month it is. So all these like jokes about women being bad drivers and, you know, women not being able to know like what's all around them all the time, like there actually is some science to it.
Well, funny enough, women actually drive stick better than guys. They have less clutch problems in stick, and they just seem to be better at driving the stick shift.
You know,
than guys.
we're good at juggling more things in my experience than guys. Like, for sure, I can have a few things going. Versus Sam, he always is very frustrated if he gets out of what he calls his rut. He needs to have his rut.
I've heard
eat this day, wake up at this time this day. He's got it all down.
He's got a system. He's told.
And I come in and he calls me the anti-diet, and that applies to everything in our life. Like, I am just his anti-rut. I'm like, hey, let's go to the beach today. It's a beautiful day. And he's like, no, I was going to stay home and play video games all day. It's Sunday. This is what I do.
It's Sunday video game time.
Fighters and video games, that correlation is funny.
There was a boxer, I forget who it was, who put out an article and he said, get a good video game, it'll help you when you're cutting weight.
It's true.
Just distraction. And
Sam loves his DS. Like, every time we go for a fight, it's like a Pokemon this and Pokemon that.
I know, he got me into Pokemon, or I should say back into it. I played it when I was like 7. Then I started again at 28, 20 years later. And then he got me back into it. Now I gave my video games a break.
I play too, but I'm not as serious as that man is. And I hate battling him because he does his research. He finds out, you know, what little tricks you can do and how you can get different moves. And I don't. I just play the game. It's fun. And I am super competitive. Sam beat me at chess once, and I mean, it was a bad day for Sam. Sam will never play me in chess again.
That is just ruined.
I don't like to lose.
Oh, I know. I played some board games with you.
I don't like him to lose either, though. When he fights, oh dang.
Yeah, well, you don't mind if he loses at Risk.
If you guys just be quiet, my goodness, you guys are the loudest Risk players that have ever been.
I think your husband's the problem too.
He gets stabby, as he calls it.
He gets stabby. Yes. Sam gives good advice only to make him win.
Yes, I know. He's like sitting there.
But that'll argue it.
So and so, you know, you need to make this move. It's gonna be good for you. Like, it's really good for you. Like, I'm just trying to help, and it's like, no, Sam.
Dave would always
everybody
call about
can
it.
see through that. What are you doing?
But he believes his lie. That's what it is.
It's true.
It is true. Now, we didn't touch upon your kids. You have 2 wonderful kids.
I do. I've got a 2-year-old, Reagan, little girl, and we have a son, Ivel, who just turned 1 year. And they are good kids most of the time, terrible kids sometimes. You know, a year ago today, actually, we boarded a plane to go to Australia when Ivel was 2 weeks old for Sam's second fight in the UFC, his first win. And I don't know, it's a family thing. We are a family unit. We go everywhere together. Our kids come with us to every fight so far. Reagan used to walk out to the cage with us when we were in the MFC. UFC has a little bit different rules, so that does not happen.
How is it UFC and the baby? Do they help you out when you have kids with you and stuff?
Oh, they've been really great to us. Like, I cannot complain. We try to minimize whatever work it'll put on them because it's not professional for us to have all this baggage, but it is also it's hard for us because Sam wants me there and needs me there, and it's hard for me as a mother to leave my 2-week-old baby on the opposite side of the planet from me. So It just has become our thing that we just take them with us. It's easier on all of us, and it's probably not always going to be the case. As soon as they start getting a little older, we're going to start, leaving them. But they're there the entire weight cut. They are there the entire fight camp. They are in the gym, at the daycare. They are very much so a part of Sam's life and my life. So having them there fight week is not really any different than anything else. And I think it actually is a little bit grounding for Sam to have them there.
Yeah. The support seems to be seems to help his career, and he's had nothing but very solid, very great resume, and beaten a lot of good guys, and probably should have been in the UFC a while ago, but
forever, this man.
I'm still fighting myself. I'd like to make some good money before I need to get another surgery. So we're seeing what's coming up first. Now, most of our listeners are guy listeners. I'm hoping that we could change the demographic a little, but let's talk about single guys. Do you have any advice for single men in the dating world today, you being a top model?
The strangest thing for me about the dating world, which thankfully I didn't have to deal with a lot, but I watch all of my lovely, beautiful, talented, smart model friends go through it. And you think it would be easy, but it's not. And I think a lot of what all the confusion is there's no labels anymore. Why is it so hard to be a boyfriend and girlfriend? Do you know how many times I've heard the discussion? I don't know what we are. We're seeing where it goes. What does that even mean? That's what dating is we're seeing where it goes. Like when you're seeing
And dating's become hanging out. Instead of going on a date, it's hang out now.
It's so weird. I just would give advice to men to just be direct to women. It's much less confusing than all the trying to figure stuff out, because girls, they'll drive you nuts. Women will drive you nuts, trying to figure out what things are. If you don't make it clear to them what is going on, they're going to be crazy. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. So just, I don't know, just be confident, be who you are, say the right things, I guess, but just mostly just be honest with yourself and with other people. If it's over, it's over. Don't.
But there's also the thing that women want what they can't have sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of game playing. I don't understand the game.
There is so much game playing in dating, and
it goes both ways.
It does. It
really. Tinder and stuff is not helping.
No, it really isn't. And one thing I always do, if a girl whips out her cell phone on the date and starts texting like other people, there's no second date. Oh yeah, definitely. That's rude. But yeah, that is rude. It's not rude. It is rude, I feel. I think my biggest advice is find somebody who intrigues you, and then go ask her on a date. Be like, hey, will you go out with me on this night? It'll be fun. I promise. I'll make your night. Do something fun. Do something you like. Make an impression. Make stories. Do something you haven't done before. I haven't heard stories in a long time. I used to hear a lot of dating stories that were just hilarious and awesome. And you don't hear them anymore because it's oh, well, so-and-so and I went out to this club where so-and-so got drunk, and then this person's girlfriend puked all over this person, and it's that's drunk stories. We could get drunk stories from everybody. Yeah, and then you hear all the group stories. There's just not a lot of, I don't know. There's no good or funny thing. We're not a very connected generation, I feel like, No, I feel like us, our age group, as the age group that's just the in-between, the kids who were born with the internet and stuff, and then the old schoolers that are already retired and stuff, we're the ones that are going to struggle. Then luckily there's always fighting. So punching never gets old. Is there any red flags? Let's do it on both ends. For any red flags when dating a guy, what do you think girls should look out for? What are obvious red flags? Obvious red flags for me that I see a lot are guys that, I don't know, are really vague about the compliments that they give. I see so many women in relationships with guys that don't really appreciate them. And they think that these guys are giving them compliments, but they're not. They're oh, well, I like it when you have your hair down like this. It looks really nice, but I don't really like it when you have it up, or I like it when you dress like this. I don't like it when you wear sweatpants. And I don't know, you just get all these women with weird self-esteem issues. And I actually was talking to my guy friend about it the other day. He's oh yeah, you had a name for it. He's it's like when you have to you start training your woman and putting her in her place where you can control her. So that
she won't have too high self-esteem, but she won't have too low either. It's a balance. I'm like, what? You're playing with your woman's self-esteem?
Well, it's like,
so women, like, find a guy that likes you. Like, just do it. If a guy starts comparing you to somebody else or comparing you to yourself at a different point, get out, run away.
Well, it's like this. Some women are up here and some guys are here, so they try to bring their woman just too about here, so they seem like they're above.
Yeah, it's like,
but
guys
really,
want to be better than their women. Like, why? Whatever happened to having a great woman? Like, you want people to be like...
That's the insecurity, because they don't want them leaving, and then women don't like dating down either.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to always date up. So sometimes you got to make it perceive that you're better than you really are. Forrest Griffin said it the best. He said, when dealing with the press and in the media and public, he's like, you got to be yourself, but you got to be first date you. So the best of yourself. He said, be first date you.
That's true. That's a good idea.
He said, even if you're not feeling it, turn it on. Be first date you. So any style advice for the guys out there, since you're in the fashion industry?
Yes. Why? Like, there's just so much going on with guys right now. I just don't understand. Like, you go out and you got the hipster look, the guys with the tight pants.
Yes.
And the hats, and like, it's like everybody's looking at fashion magazines nowadays, and then I've got my husband who won't even like stop wearing his superhero t-shirts everywhere we go. I don't know, their guys have got to find a balance somewhere. I think the best look is jeans, and a button-up shirt and cute shoes. Like, this is looking pretty good right here. This looks nice, but I just think people need to care more about what they look like, but not care too much. I'm not into the whole guys that look over stylized and
yes,
jewelry. When guys start wearing a lot of jewelry, it just, to me, it's like, wow, you spend more time getting ready than I do. I can't.
What about a watch? You like watches?
Yeah, watches are good. I wear
nice
my Fitbit everywhere. And
I left my watch in Hector's car, but I've been wearing my white Casio ever since I won it on the show.
When it gets to like multiple rings,
yeah,
this necklace that goes with this shirt. And
oh God, rings, guys, wear your wedding ring, and if you have maybe a pinky ring every so often,
if you have a Super Bowl ring, like
yeah,
maybe.
If you have something cool, but don't be that guy with a ring for each finger. You're gonna embarrass your kids.
Yeah, but men's style, I like it when I see it. I don't like it when I see it. There's certain things but if you've been in a groove for like 5 years, it's definitely time to change it up, because what was attractive when you were 20 is not attractive when you're 25.
No, it's not.
25, 30. You just got to keep changing with yourself. As you mature, your clothing needs to mature.
Yes, I agree with that. Now, you're saying that nowadays fashion is moving so fast. I guess it's because of social media and stuff. Because you said, well, you don't know what guys are doing now.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's a big dichotomy like between things. Like, men are more into fashion and beauty things than they have ever been in the past. I know so many guys that get manicures, who get, do manscaping, that do all this stuff, and it's important for some people. But then on the flip side, you get like guys with these big grizzly beards everywhere now, which is like ultra manly. So you've got like the more feminine trend and the manly trends all going all over.
But I'm noticing a lot of these guys with beards are just hipsters.
Really?
Some of them are, yeah. It's like becoming the beard thing is a little weird.
It is a little strange. I wish the mustache thing would come back.
The handlebar mustache.
That's kind of hipster too now.
Yeah, it is. It's actually in now. You see a lot of, as the comedian Hannibal Buress put it, a lot of carnival-faced motherfuckers out there. Pardon my French.
Aren't these more questions for you? How do you feel about men's fashion nowadays?
I feel about men's fashion? I'm a jeans and a shirt type of guy, but I do like to dress up and put on a button up. I actually had help. Somebody helped dress me with this. There was a guy in Macy's who just was stoked to help me.
Oh, that's great.
And it figures, my mom was in town. She's like, oh, I want to go shopping. And like the last thing I want to do. So I figure I took her out. Let's go shopping, and then she goes harass the guy like, oh, let's get him some clothes. And then Mom still had the power to embarrass me. I'm like, I'm 30 years old and we're doing this. I can't believe you. She's like, no, we're doing this. I see you twice a year. Come on, let me embarrass you.
That is one thing I will say though. Men do not dress up as much anymore. I like it when guys dress up. I like it when guys wear suits. Not all the time, but
I like it. I like wearing suits.
It's not just a work thing. It's not just, I'm going to the office, I'm going to look nice. Like sometimes it's nice when guys dress up to go out. It's attractive. We went to a funeral last weekend, which was sad, but it really just stood out, that some guys don't have dress up clothes.
And then some guys want to come in flip-flops with their sleeves cut off and have a monkey smoking a cigar. And that's just some people.
And it's not just the fight community, because let me tell you, us fight representatives, we're among the best dressed.
Yes, I think humans are just getting dumbed down with the instant gratification and knowledge. Last question for you, Brett. This is going to be another one for the guys. How do you approach a supermodel?
How do you approach a supermodel?
Are all supermodels approachable?
For the most part, they are incredibly nice and incredibly young. So be careful, because your supermodel friend might be underage. 14, 15 years old. That's not cute underage either.
That's not cute.
They're adorable. They are, but just don't do it. If you're over 18, do not go for the under 18s. But no, the most models I've met are incredibly nice women. And the nice thing about supermodels is where they are incredibly beautiful women, most of the time people just find them tall. They don't find them that incredibly gorgeous because they're weird looking. We're all goofy looking women. And it doesn't appeal to everybody. So you'll find them incredibly relatable. Most of the time they're not stuck up. They're really just easygoing people. Just be confident and, be appreciative of them, what they do, not that they are not, most of these women are working towards something else in their life. They're trying to go to school. They're trying to have a career after their career.
They're not just trying to land a rich husband.
They're not just trying to land a rich husband. And a lot of them are not trying to be celebrities either. They just happen to be good models, but a lot of them have no intentions of being...
They'll date a normal everyday guy.
Famous, yeah. Some of them go for models, but most of them have normal everyday guys that have normal everyday hobbies that are fun to do. But for the most part, models are pretty active people, so pick up a pair of hiking shoes, have fun with it. Get ready to see the world.
Yeah, you're not going to go find them at the local watering hole doing good beer.
Go to yoga studio and Pilates.
Yoga studios. Well, Britt, it's been wonderful having you on. Where can we find you? Is there any fan pages? I should say McKey Sullivan. It's been wonderful having you on. You'll always be Britt Alvey to me.
I do have a fan page on Facebook, and I also am on Twitter at Grandma Mayo, and Instagram at Brisby612. I don't use social media as much as I should, but make sure you follow this guy right here.
Keep watching the Tomcast. Find me everywhere at Tom Gallicchio, TomGallicchio, and keep tuning in. It's been an honor to have Britt here, our guest of our lady of honor, we could say the Tomcast's first lady. And I also want to say rest in peace, Mark Hader. You are very missed by us and all the gym community, and we have lots of love for you. So this has been the Tomcast, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for coming on, Britt.